There we go.
Okay. Been so long since we've done that, so I forgot how.
Well, welcome to our Thrive for the first Thursday in October 2023. It's been a while since we have recorded a show, and we've been watching these wonderful videos that Reverend Sue Ellen has had for us from the conference in August. So we'll be speaking with you live tonight, and the topic for tonight is how fast or slow are you moving? It's a personal perception of value. Now, before I get started into the actual meat of the evening, I want to say a few words about myself. Most people know now that my husband passed away last week. And there have been difficult days and okay days, and there's a lot to do when your spouse dies, especially for the widow. I'm speaking up because it has only been a week, and some of you may go, oh my goodness, why is she doing this already? Well, I don't want to hide or shy away from things that have been very important to me. They help me keep moving. Bob wrote me and the boys each a letter before he died, and he told me to make sure I find them in the safe deposit box. My letter expressed that he loved me and that it would be right for me to get back into my spiritual work. So here I am, and being a part of Thrive and with everyone helps me to feel good. So here I am. Every now and then I might have a few tears. I'll be okay with it, and I hope you are too. So let's start our program tonight with our opening invocation. And I ask you to take a big breath with me and close your eyes and settle in. As I breathe right here in this very moment, I am aware of the presence of the divine source as I breathe in and slowly breathe out. And I recognize that life itself, love itself, intelligence itself, and joy itself is within every particle of the air that moves within me, circles around inside of me, and moves out. I take that breath again, knowing as each individual here present and those watching in the perfect moment feel the active life of the air within them as well. This is the presence of the One right here. Always and forever, it moves with each person and as each person. Isn't that wonderful that life is always active and expanding no matter where we are and what we do, and no matter how fast or slow? For I know that each individual moves at the perfect pace for the highest good in that moment. And whether it's for spiritual work, for play, for daily life, it is always that which is for the person's perfect perception of value to that person. And all is in divine order, divine timing. I say yes to life as it is for each person. I know as we share together in this evening in discussion, how fast or slow life is for each person, I know it is wonderful. And the infinite mind is right here as the perfect word. And so it is. So, how fast or slow are you moving is a personal perception of value. I'm going to move through my information, and I might pause here and there, or honestly, I might just keep going depending on how it all flows. So make a note or two if you have a question or a comment in certain areas, just in case, and we'll go back to that point of the information. So I thought I would start off tonight with a story. And the title of this story is The First Ever Speeding Ticket Was Issued to a Driver Going 8 miles an hour. Walter Arnold probably didn't think he'd be making history when he took his horseless carriage, or automobile at the time, for a spin through the humble English village of Paddock Wood on January 28, 1896. But make history he did by traveling at an absolutely blinding pace of 8 miles an hour on the main thoroughfare. And while you may find it difficult to believe that a bicycle riding constable was able to catch up to him, the ensuing low-speed pursuit led to Arnold paying the first ever speeding ticket. Speeding wasn't all he was charged with, though. Arnold was cited on 4 counts: using a locomotive without a horse on a public road, the nerve; operating said contraption with fewer than 3 people; failing to clearly display his name and address on the absolute manifestation of speed, and last but not least, traveling at a higher velocity than 2 miles per hour. Arnold, one of England's first car dealers, was driving a Benz that fateful day and paid the equivalent of more than $300 in today's money for his quartet of criminality. However, a few months later, he began marketing his own Arnold motor carriage to the public, a variant on the very Benz he was driving. And whether the whole thing was a publicity stunt or a mere coincidence has never been settled. Cute story. Well, we can see that for sure. The constable was in charge of the decision of the new automobile was going too fast and what the value was of speeding and the other charges. While Arnold, well, we don't know if Arnold was purposely going too fast or if he thought his speed was okay, but his perception of the value of the speeding ticket with publicity paid off for him as he started his own business of automobiles. So a little humor for us there. It was this story that prompted my thought about how fast some people move through spiritual work and some people move through at a much slower pace, more focused pace of spiritual work. And whichever it is, it's usually very perfect for that person because it's their own perception of what's happening, what they need, and what they're looking for. Now, some might say, hey, that person's jumping through those classes way too fast and not taking the right time to really go deep enough into the work and learn and feel what they need to experience. But do we really know that for sure about them? No. Then others might say, hey, that person's taking too much time in that work. What are they waiting for? Don't they get it? Don't they understand? Maybe we should help them. Well, do we really know for sure why that person is going at that pace with that work? No, we don't. Each person takes the right amount of time they need to process any information and experiences that are appropriate for them in that moment. If they didn't take it deep enough, they'll go back, they'll get called back to it. And trust me, spiritual processing has its own intelligence. And it'll come back with that spiritual 2x4 and smack them on the butt and make them go where they need to go, if they need to go deeper, if they need to open up, or if they need to go back into the work or moving forward. Spirit takes a big hand in that. There was another point this week that also made me think a lot. And Sue Ellen and I were in a discussion a few days ago, and the conversation got into spiritual bypass. So I've been thinking a lot about that. There was a time when spiritual bypass was talked a lot about and dealt with when I was up in Salt Lake City. Were you bypassing important spiritual information or spiritual concepts, thinking it was not important or you didn't need to do it, or you skipped over things because you just were not able to get deep enough into your own stuff to work on it, so you were skimming the surface? Or as a practitioner, were you in spiritual bypass because you couldn't process information to the degree to assist someone else in treatment? Or maybe whether you're in spiritual bypass at all is really just someone else's judgment. One of my earlier teachers always described people as process junkies, thought that was a cute term, which is why there are so many workshops going around all the time. And people are always signing up for workshops. So they're redoing a process or moving through them as fast as they come. And even if no one signs up for a process, it still shows how important it was for that facilitator to create that process and that information and go through the process themselves while creating that workshop. We never lose our connection to God, the center, spirit, no matter how fast or how slow we are doing our own work. But at times we can lose sight of it for ourselves or even for others as we're learning and growing. As practitioners, we pray with the person to hold the truth and the divine unfolding of the situation they've asked for. So when I detach myself from any preconceived outcome, as we're taught to do, I'm in the divine space where there is no fast or slow, only divine activity. And my perception of that has extremely high value because I know that it's never going to be wrong. It's never wrong when I'm in that spiritual divine space. And that's the nice thing about Science of Mind. We might be working at the perfect pace for ourselves, and that puts us exactly where we need to be. where we choose to be, and Spirit is right there with us, very lovingly waits for us and encourages us. When we're in treatment, whether for ourselves or someone else, we move into step 1 of the treatment itself, taking all the time we need. And then we flow gently into the divine space of step 2, acknowledging our own presence within that divine space of God, taking all the time we need to feel it and relish in it, to make us feel deeper in it. Are you speaking the treatment too fast or too slow? There are those who can give a spiritual mind treatment in 5 short sentences, 5 words each. And there are those who take all the time they want to experience the divine itself in all of its effervescence in 100 words. It doesn't matter. It's all perfect. And it's your own perception of the value you get from it. So this is a quick little study about fast and slow. I'm going to give you another story that I'll close with before we just start going into discussion. And both of these stories were true, by the way. And this one is not so much about the speed of processing, but how some flow in and out of spiritual work for their own needs without realizing it. This is a true newspaper article from Texas, and maybe you've heard it. Whorehouse sues local church. No one ever said that being a judge was going to be an easy job. Mount Vernon, Texas newspaper headline, Mount Vernon, Texas, whorehouse sues local church over lightning strike. Diamond D's brothel began construction on an expansion of their building to increase their ever-growing business. In response, the local Baptist church started a campaign to block the business from expanding with morning, afternoon, and evening prayer sessions at their church. Work on Diamond D's progressed right up until the week before the grand reopening, when lightning struck the whorehouse and burned it to the ground. After the cat house fire, the church folks were rather smug in their outlook, bragging about the power of prayer. But late last week, Big Jugs Jill Diamond, the owner and madam, sued the church, the preacher, and the entire congregation on the grounds that the church was ultimately responsible for the demise of her business and her building, and either through direct or indirect divine actions or means. In its reply to the court, the church vehemently and ferociously denied any and all responsibility or any connection to the building's destruction. The crusty old judge read through the plaintiff's complaint and the defendant's reply, and at the opening hearing, he commented, "I don't know how the hell I'm going to decide this damn case, but it appears from the newspaper that we now have a whorehouse owner who staunchly believes in the power of prayer, and an entire congregation thinks that it's bullshit." So there you go. Questions and comments. How have you been in going fast, going slow?
Feels slow right now. Not sluggish, just slow. But things are moving in divine timing. I feel like that's happening as well. And stuff is happening in the background. I'm not seeing it, but I'm believing it that it's there. So,
Yeah.
I suspect that I'm going to hit some milestone somewhere, and then things are going to go whoosh, and take off in some direction. I don't know what.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
I know. Life is exciting. I just am not seeing yet where that excitement is taking me. I am thoroughly enjoying writing letters to my granddaughter.
That's right.
So Susan Julies may not be aware of this. I started writing letters to my granddaughter in the end of April. She was graduating from high school, and the high school had a program called Pink Letters, and you could write all the graduating students. You could write any of them, but you write your graduating student and tell them how proud you were of them, or give them all the advice you wanted to give them, or whatever, and send them to the school. and they would give them to them on the day of their senior breakfast. So I started in the last week of April, and started sending her a letter every day, writing a letter every day. This coincided with a Toastmasters thing that said, you want to get something done, do it for 17 minutes every day, and pick an accountability person, which I did. So I started writing advice and news and, I appreciate you, that kind of stuff to her. And then when I got too close to the breakfast time, I started sending them to her at home. And I have numbered them. Number 129 went out today.
Oh my gosh.
129 of them.
That's fabulous.
Wow.
And I talked to her. I mean, as a senior in high school, not familiar with Science of Mind, except from what rubbed off on her. But I just give her examples and short little things. Most of them are 1 page or less. Occasionally, I'll bleed over into the second half of a page. But I talked to her, and we were talking about grades yesterday. She has to take a math test today, and she hadn't done as well on their math test before. And I said, well, hold in mind what you'd like to have as the grade. And she says, well, if I'm going to hold it in mind, I ought to get 100%. And then she said back, well, I just need more than 78. That's what she got last time. And I'm thinking, can we do better than more than 78? Because that just could be 79, Let's go with something that's like 90, but hold it in your mind, hold it in your consciousness as what you get. So, but she's picking it up. It's like I'm dropping water things on the stone of her consciousness and letting it melt or permeate or whatever.
Water. Yes.
It's like, and I told her when I started the letters, you can read them, pay attention to them or not. But my suggestion would be that you put them all together in a book. At some point, you may want to go back and reread them.
Mhm.
But each one is numbered, so they're in some kind of sequence, even though I'm not paying any attention. And the topics are all over the board. So I generally take the Wednesday thought that I send to everybody and add another 2 or 3 paragraphs to it and send it to her as well. So
That's amazing.
that has helped me get right on top of where I am and what I'm thinking, because it's up in my face every day to write a letter. And I quit writing when I hit 75. I quit writing 7 days a week and went to 5. It's like, okay, we can do that. So that's where I'm at the moment. But I'm finding that's really deepening who I am.
Oh my gosh, yes. You want my cat in.
So you
Wow,
could
that's phenomenal.
you could write to your grandchildren if you wanted to do that.
Well, you know what? What's interesting is a friend of mine gave me 3 sheets of postage stamps yesterday, or 2 days. Yeah, yesterday she gave me 3 sheets of postage stamps. So I have 3 sheets of postage.
Yeah.
As well, write a little something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I send the talk outline that we get from home office to people I have half a dozen people in prison that have asked for it. And so I send them the talk outline. And if I've updated, if it's a talk that I've given, then I send them my version of it, which is totally different than the one the outline is.
Nice. And that outline is available on our community.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It is to ministers. Is it also to practitioners?
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool. Very good. The global themes.
Yeah, because there's some centers that don't have ministers, and some ministers who want their practitioners to be able to get it, and some musicians to get it. I think if you're not a practitioner or a minister, you may have to have a special sign-in thing to get it, but
Oh, fabulous. Cool.
I believe.
Nice.
So, Reverend Sue Ellen, can you just kind of tap in again on the formula of 17 minutes a day?
Oh, okay. It came out of Daryl LaCroix. Daryl. He wrote a book, 17 Minutes to Getting Something Done or something like that. And I was at a Toastmasters conference, and he was talking about how, and he's talking about public speaking, but how if you want to be better at something, you need to do it every day. You need to focus on it every day. And his deal is 17 minutes, because it's an odd number, I think, but he had a reason in his material to do it. 17 minutes for 75 days. And then pick an accountability partner to keep you on track. And all you do is you start your phone or your stopwatch phone with the time you start. And when you're finished with your letter, with your whatever it is, you punch the stopwatch thing and then take a picture of your screen and then just text the screen to your accountability partner. You don't have to say anything. You just send a picture of your screen that says 17 and a half minutes or 21.4 or whatever the number is. And so I did that. But that kind of thing, it's like, okay, so you want to take on meditation. Sit still for 17 minutes. Send me the accountability for you doing it 17 minutes, you know. That's not too long a time. You can do it. He said that for himself, that if he started to do something, he was writing a book, and he had written 2.5 pages, maybe, or maybe 5 pages, maybe a half a chapter, something like that, in a long time, couple of months, 6 months or something like that. But when he went to this 17 minutes, he had something like 45 pages done in whatever this, you know, his accountability time frame, 75 days or whatever it was. So he was saying it really worked for him. But it's a habit. I mean, I've gotten into the habit that that's what I do in the morning after I finish my work at work. I sit down and write to Emily.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And it takes, you know, it doesn't take
Very
17,
cool.
takes 7, you know, sometimes it takes 17 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't take quite that long. Doesn't take that long when I'm doing the thought, because I just copy the thought over to her letter and then add more information. Or like a couple of weeks ago, I did it the other way around because the internet was down. So I did her part first and then copied it over to the thought. Said, here, you get Emily's stuff today. So
Very cool.
Right. That's cool. I like I've been doing 20-minute segments. Like I literally do 20-minute segments on my gigantic timer in the kitchen, the microwave. The only thing I use it for is the timer. But I do 20-minute segments, but I like the 17. It gives it, because I'll do 23, and that gives me 3 minutes to do the water in, water out break or whatever in that 3 minutes that I have. But I like the 17. Yeah, nice. And I love the story.
I don't think it makes a significant difference whether we use 17 or 20 or 25. It's the consistency that we do that gets us where we're going to go.
Right.
So,
the time is almost a tool to help you do it. Sounds like.
Right.
Yeah. And with the exercise, I find that I got out of the habit of exercising and getting back into it. I'll set the timer for 20 minutes and I'll find that I do 11 minutes, but at least I'm keeping my log of building back up to the 20-minute and then to the hour, you know, building it.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm like you. I do the 20 minutes on the treadmill unless I'm really running late. And then I do 10. Except Friday. Yeah. We don't do any exercise on Friday.
No?
None. I'll exercise Saturday and Sunday, but not Friday.
Very good.
That's good. That's good. I love the story about the whorehouse. That's great. That's great.
Yep.
That's great. There was a church here in town that the preacher, he said, if whatever he said, may the lightning strike the building. And sure enough, lightning struck the building and burned it down.
Wow.
It was one of those, watch what you say.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He didn't realize his power, did he?
Well, I think the comment from the
this is nice,
judge.
and I like this, how fast or how slow am I moving? I, I like that topic.
Yes. I think the comment from the judge, though, his very last sentence is so interesting, that when the congregation didn't want to take responsibility, I mean, they had prayed for something to happen to stop the building from going up, and they prayed and prayed for it, and then they got a demonstration and then denied it. I think that is so interesting. And so how do we even use our spiritual, what's the word? Well, our prayer, but our spiritual power for what we want, and not even realize that we're turning away from it. I just thought that was
Right.
very interesting.
Yes. And when you said that, Reverend Lynn, what came to my mind was in the garden when I don't know which apostle denied Jesus 3 times. And that was
Peter?
kind of the correlation of
Yeah.
that denial. You're denying your
Power.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah. That's excellent.
So here, I'm going to take that little piece just a second further. When stuff happens to us that is not what we would have in mind, like we get a flat tire, or we lose a job, or we lose a client, or something happens that we don't particularly care for, our tendency is to go, no, 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 and push against it. But how many times is that like the lightning burning down the building? And really, it's just a sign that things are going to go differently than you anticipated.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I got some things going on in my life right now that aren't going the way I anticipated. And so few things. And I've really had to I can find myself getting into that chatter in my head, getting in that monkey talk, and getting into, Abraham, or the lady that channels Abraham, she'd say, you keep beating the same drum over and over again, and you do that chatter in your head, and you cause the same thing to keep happening. And it's funny, I don't always realize when the chatter in my head starts, but once I catch myself, then it's like I have this thing I say. It's like, okay, there's two sides to every coin, and there's a good side to this. I don't like this, what's going on, but there's a good side to it. So I know there's got to be a divine reason for this, and there's good that can come from this, and that's where I'm going to focus. That's my good. So I try to flip it when I can in the moment, when I catch it.
Right.
But I never catch myself going into it, though. I'm already there for a while, and just perpetuating it, and the emotions and everything, and until something goes up. Okay, flip it.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be a
Yes.
practice.
Yes. That's been my Prac 2000, my 13th year of practitioner studies.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the sewer line going out, where everything just, in the midst of appearances, that space has been cleaned out, and it is like a functioning space now,
Yeah.
where it's like phenomenal down there. And it's just like, wow, it took the sewer line going out and to really get it usable, where it's just not a bunch of stuff that isn't functionable. But it's interesting. And my car exploding, the spark plug blowing out of the engine, and it's like,
Yeah.
I found a fantastic mechanic in Russellville, a couple hours out, but still phenomenal. Just, just not how I would have wanted to get my car fully checked out, but it worked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
Now,
Excellent.
there were points in the, were you going to say something, Sue Ellen?
No.
A couple of the points in that short little message were from examples that I had experienced or seen people do. Mostly, in classes leading up to practitioner training and then in ministerial studies and stuff. And I would have loved to have gone through my classes faster. You have to have those 2 years, all those prerequisites, and if you're going through all that. But of course there's time, there's homework, you're working a full-time job and the money and all that kind of goes into it. Every piece of it, counted for something. And there was another person going through the training and they said, I'm going to start taking 2 classes at a time because I'm going to really get through this really fast. And you should take 2 classes at a time too. And I said, no, I don't think I really should. But I said, I'm really enjoying just kind of moseying through the classes right now because I get to feel it and really focus and spend my time on it. Because, I also got a lot of other stuff going on. And this person also was working and had kids and doing all this stuff. But the goal was just to get through everything so quickly. And then I would see that person trying to hurry through homework, while sitting there before the class started, seeing them trying to move through things. And it's easy to be in judgment. Is that person really doing it? Just because I took longer, is he really doing it? That was not my question, really. I didn't have to go into all that. It was the way that person processed everything. Did they really feel everything and go to the depths of all of it? I don't know. It's not my judgment to really say that.
I don't even know if I went through the depths of everything going through school. I'm sure there are bits and pieces I didn't,
Yeah.
Just saying that, you do what you do
Yeah.
when you're doing it, and you don't know how deep you could go necessarily. You just go as deep as you do.
Right. And I think that's the point. It's like, it's how every person's perception of their value, getting out of it what they need. And if they need to get more, it'll show up for them somewhere. And I found that when I went through all the prerequisites, the work was so new to me that I was in love with it. So I did everything to the fullest and probably overdid it because I wanted it that way. And then when I went through ministerial school, it's a whole different time crunch and a different process. And I read very slow and I have to reread because the words get mixed up. One time, one of my school friends and I tested the speed of our reading. I read like 150 to 200 words a minute. And she read 700 words a minute. So needless to say, she finished every bit of reading in ministerial school and more. I barely got through everything I was supposed to read, and most of the time didn't. But I got my papers done. I did good. I didn't fail anything. Everything got turned in on time. And there were times, only once or twice, I got a good grade, and that person didn't like her grade, and she wondered what I had done to get the grade that probably wasn't good because they said it to me, like, what'd you do to get that? Because you couldn't have done, like, I don't know. I just did my homework. But I never did as much work because I just time-wise couldn't. So I always felt like I was skimming, as a matter of fact. And because I couldn't take it as deep. And then I thought, I'll go back to it someday and read it. Didn't happen.
It hasn't happened yet.
It hadn't happened yet.
Could happen.
Yeah. But, it's really, and the spiritual bypass, you and I talked about that. It's that can totally be somebody else's judgment. Am I skimming? I don't think I'm skimming. I think I got it. But maybe I didn't get it like the person next to me, but I'm pretty sure I got it. So I don't know. And I even bought a book on spiritual bypass. And it wasn't as much fun to read as I thought it was going to be. Oh. But I have to say, Donald Graves did teach us to learn the difference between a short treatment and a long treatment, and how powerful can you be when you in a short treatment when you need to be. 5 sentences, 5 words in for each sentence, and it's
Say that
all a
again.
matter. It's you do a treatment in 5 sentences and only 5 words in each sentence. No more.
Okay, 5. Okay.
Yeah, because it really is about your perception and the power of your word and the vibration of your words. And you don't need more than that all the time.
Wow.
So interesting playing with that like that.
Yeah, 5. So 5 words, 5 sentences, 17 minutes.
Yeah.
My takeaways.
Yeah. A 5-word sentence for each step. That was it.
A 5-word sentence. Okay, for each step. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It
Hmm.
could be less than 5 words, but it was no more than 5 words.
I'm not sure you could be how much less you could be.
Yeah.
You'd have to really get into the feeling tone.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 17 minutes, get into the feeling tone, 5 sentences, 5 words. And the gratitude, the feeling tone of that gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah. Donald also had a list of active verbs. Active verbs. I think that's what they were called. That he always gave out, and they were not normal words you would use, but they were words that embodied feelings and action that you didn't have to use a lot of description for. And so that was helpful. He was very big on vocabulary, and to be verbs were also very important, because you couldn't use as, is, as. Well, those are adverb. Well, anyway, I can't remember. I have to go back and look in the book. There were certain words you weren't allowed to use. So good practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other comments or questions or anything? So we're grateful for everyone who watches our videos, and grateful for everyone who shows. Oh, did you want to say something, Susan?
Well, yeah, I'm just, there was a piece there that when you opened up, you talked about choosing how fast or how slow we're moving. The choice. Do we choose, or do we just have to be in that? There really isn't a choice. I
I
can't. Go on.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say I think it's either or, and even that's a choice. I mean, you can go into a prayer or a thought about something, and it happens quickly. Everything shows up and it happens quickly, or you can choose to take your time with something. It's perfect in the moment.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just thinking about that. Am I just of whatever circumstance showed up in my life this day, and how, whether I'm moving so fast that, it's just like go, 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 sleep, go, 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 sleep, to where, you know, I'm just moseying today,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know, just
and I think we, as we go through our day about things, or any day, Yeah, some days are quicker than others, and some people just process differently, and some people are going to process and do their stuff at a slower pace, and some people are just boom, boom, boom. Their minds are always quick, and they process quickly no matter what. So, and then you can choose, like, I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to do some work, some spiritual work, or I've got something going on, and I am just going to take my time. So I think it's both and, either or. That's a good choice of words there. So, it just depends on the moment. And sometimes you're just really guided to be one way or the other, depending on what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really what's your value of where you are in the moment, and how you want the outcome of something. So I don't think there's a solid answer, and your perception of something is going to be different than somebody else's perception.
Right. And the perception today might be different than yesterday's.
Absolutely. Or even this
Yeah.
afternoon.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I died to yesterday. I died to yesterday.
and
Every moment.
Yeah, and we can't. It's not fair to try to judge somebody else's perception about something either, and how they choose to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's not possible.
Mhm.
It really isn't possible.
Yeah.
I mean, to get an accurate reading,
Right. You can't.
it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Who said anything about accurate?
Just make
Yeah.
up a story.
That's right.
That's right. Well, thank you both very much. And so we love doing our little Thrive on Thursdays, the first Thursday, the third Thursday, and sometimes there's a fifth Thursday where we do visioning. So we would like to invite you to, if you're open, to provide a love offering for us. And there's a couple of ways to do that. You can do it online at inner-journey.org. Click on donation. Or you can text 405-337-9739. And the word for tonight is peace.
Awesome.
The first. All right. So we will close with a little benediction. And grateful for this time in this space, understanding and learning the value that each person can hold as their own perception of life itself, and all that comes and goes, quickly or slowly. It doesn't matter. It's all God, and it's all perfect. Grateful for the added information and conversation. It is always wonderful. And I feel that vibration of love and understanding that just moves in all directions. And so I allow that vibration to continue throughout the evening, and know it is good and very good. So wishing everyone well, knowing all is well. I let it be. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
And there you are.
Thank you.
Thank you.